Okay, this one's kind of difficult for me, because it's about prayer and something that someone was sharing with me that I could have sort of taken one way, I guess you could say, but I think the better of that person, so I don't. But um, I'm wondering if this is sort of indicative maybe of something that Yusef taught about, well, just different things he says about the theology, but differences of Protestant and Catholic and Eastern Orthodox. And I'm not sure if this is an evidence of that or an expression, but I'm just posing a question. So there's a friend that I've had since it might have been 89 or 90. And she's definitely a sister to me. And she's definitely, yeah, we're very much in each other's lives and our family's lives, and we love each other a lot. So she was born and raised as a Christian, and definitely, and as an adult, she taught me quite a lot about Jesus himself, and I've even gone to church with her different times in several locations. Um, somewhere in Indiana, some in California, different things. So some things we've always sort of overlapped about, and other things have been not so much so. Um, Obviously, through different cycles of, my faith and, investigation of all different kinds of things, and certainly staying in Baha'i for as long as I did. And then, coming out of that and being a Christian for, 2 seconds. Um, we sort of have things to talk about from a different angle, but not necessarily towards the same direction, but sort of. I don't know. I'm not sure. And it's hard for me to sort of get a handle on it because I don't understand things from her perspective, and I don't know, like I said, if that's just theological differences I'm seeing an effect of. So she's talking to me about an illness that I was um, dealing with, and she said, "Are you ready for your liberation yet?" And we had been talking about prayer, and if I wanted to take that in the wrong way, or one of the wrong ways that I could have taken that, might have been, have I not yet prayed for deliverance from that illness? Or am I somehow blocking or obstructing my own healing in some way? Or, I don't know, anything, whatever you'd want to think. But it struck me, it confused me because I don't think of petitioning God in that way. Like, I more tend to be thankful, or be in gratitude of, or ask for the discernment to know what His will is so that I can have the strength to do it. Or sometimes I'll say, I'll ask for the ability to only find joy or only gravitate towards that which is His first choice for me. Or everything has to do with, and yes, of course I do ask for mercy, but sometimes I don't, because sometimes I wonder if some sort of a pressure in a situation might be a necessary requirement for me to sort of grow in a certain way. So I don't necessarily always ask to be relieved of certain situations because it's there, and so why should I don't know, I think there's a certain, I don't know if I'm not saying that she was expressing this, but I think there could be such an arrogance in prayer when people just, they just absolutely petition God. They say, they treat God like some sort of Spiegel catalog of the universe. I want this and this and that and that and that and this, and that just turns my stomach. I can't even think in those terms. Certainly not for things. I've heard people pray for physical things. That just turns my stomach. Even when it's food and even when it's a house, that still would not sit right with me. And I do remember one time that I did pray for a certain house. And it wasn't necessarily even the best situation. So I really learned from that, like, what was I doing, right? This was not too many years ago either. This was like, what, 05. That was 05. So this is, what year is it? 7 years later that it took me to kind of, not think that I could pray for a house. So I get confused about like the structure of prayer, because I listen to how people pray and the structure in which they do, where they'll say thanks for something and offer some sort of praise, and then they'll ask for something, and then they'll have their closing remarks, or then there's people who pray in tongues or lay on hands and all this kind of thing. I'm not saying that I have anything against any of those either, because I don't necessarily. But I never think in those terms of a structure like that of prayer. I mean, of course, obviously there's a structure to liturgy and there's a complete structure to every word of prayer. But that when I'm, it's just me in my own head, it's more visual. And I don't mean just like the icons in my head. I mean, I'll see a person, and if it's their health that's trouble to them, I'll see them in their healthiest. And if I'm thinking about a situation of people who are in some kind of strife, I'll see them, being infiltrated by some sort of a light, and it's not like I'm asking exactly for these things. They're just the way that I picture it, and then I don't know, grace coming in. I don't know what I'm doing. That's kind of what's in my head. And sometimes I do sort of, I don't know, I'll ask for discernment. Yeah, I said that before. I'll ask for discernment, or I'll ask for, just strength to know what it is that is best for me to do, or something, basically. And I'm trying to understand. I mean, obviously I'm going to ask her too, but especially in terms of physical health. And I kind of did a vlog about this once, insofar as in the natural healing movement, there's such a body-mind connection, blame the patient kind of a deal, which just absolutely disgusts me, because then you end up blaming, all your cancer patients for their colon cancer. It's just like ridiculous. So like, have you ever heard of somebody asking to be liberated from their illness? Or, because I don't think of illness as some kind of a punishment. I mean, it's just there. It's not necessarily pleasant, but I don't think it's there to punish you. And, nature has these weird ways of doing things sometimes. So genes get mutated. All sorts of stuff happens. Cells do all sorts of strange things. So, why a cell is acting one way. I mean, cancer is always my favorite, because cancer is, I know that sounds really gross. Cancer is my favorite, but how pathological, right? But that's, because cancer is the cell that refuses to die. Cancer you know, in nature, everything has its cycle, right? And so the one that just is so persistent, so dominant, so it won't die, you know, it's like the rat of cells. The sewer rat that's like the size of a puppy if you're in Chicago, right? Um, yeah, so because nature can do all sorts of odd things, I don't think that while that's part of what happens within nature, that that's, you know, meant to make people miserable. Not to say that people aren't miserable because of whatever illness they might have. Because I sure haven't been made happy by illnesses of my own or of my family or people who I've known. You know, they've been absolutely difficult situations. But just like my tattoo, isn't that an opportunity within that danger? Isn't, I mean, if you want to look for it for that, instead of just be all hateful and bitter, right? Um, okay, I hope that was clear at all. Tell me, I need to go hydrate. This desert drives me out. Bye, blessings and peace.